Mr. Daniel Liebman, Bachelor of Arts, summa cum laude, will deliver the student address.
Good morning. Before I begin, I have to say, if you've seen this speech already and you know the jokes, you are still honor-bound to laugh at them, okay? Just putting it out there. To President Lawrence, Provost Goldstein, Chairman Sherman, and members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished faculty and staff, kvelling parents and grandparents, squirming siblings, and friends of the university, welcome. To anyone who came hoping to see a Brandeis Judges basketball game, you're a couple of months too late, I'm sorry, but welcome all the same. And to my fellow college graduates of the Brandeis class of 2012, woo! Congratulations. In my experience in student speeches, it is customary for me to reflect on the various gifts that we've received from our school over the past 4 years, to give thanks for the superb instruction that we have received, and to predict how the skills and knowledge that we've developed here will lead us to success and happiness in the next phases of our lives. It is also a custom that at some point I'm supposed to say something funny that only my classmates will understand, so I'm going to get that out of the way first. Sherman pizza. I would, however, like to break with the first custom to a certain extent, because all of you already know what Brandeis has done for you. You already know that the critical thinking skills and capacities for scholarly inquiry that you've developed here will continue to serve you well for years to come. You already know that the bonds that you've developed with your professors, with each other, and with this place will continue long after you've thrown your cap in the air and returned your recyclable gown. You already know that you have heard the words social justice more often in the past 4 years than you thought you'd hear in a lifetime. And so, if I may, I'm going to turn the question on its head and ask you to consider not just what Brandeis has done for you, but also what you have done for Brandeis. Let me bring us back to our first week at Brandeis, our orientation week, when we first arrived here with nothing but a nervous smile and an I Got In class of 2012 t-shirt. Specifically, I'm going to ask you to think back to that first class-wide address that we received in Spingold Theater. Do you remember I Am Brandeis? Yeah? For those who were not there, and for our mid-year and transfer friends and anyone else, let me briefly explain what I mean. I Am Brandeis was a rallying cry that was used by the Roosevelt Fellows on that day. One by one, during the assembly, each fellow would stand up and loudly proclaim, "I am Brandeis," preceded by a unique facet of their Brandeis experience. The phrase was used to describe something quintessentially Brandesian about yourself. An example usage might be, "I have 3 majors and 2 minors, and I sing in 2 a cappella groups, and I run a charity which is devoted to free healthcare clinics in Haiti, and I have a 15-page research paper and 350 pages of reading due on Tuesday, and I know all of the lyrics to Dispatches the General. I am Brandeis." The phrase was popular amongst us first years for a while after that, and we proceeded to beat the joke to death over the next month or so. But truth be told, at that point in time, it wasn't really accurate. We weren't truly Brandeis then, not yet. We were Brandeis material. And over the next 4 years, we have proceeded to become Brandeis. We learned how to use acronyms and building nicknames to avoid the awkwardness of saying to someone, "Let's meet in Shapiro at 5. We discovered that there is a holiday called Shemini Atzeret. We discovered that it is a Brandeis law that any class held in the International Business School or in Spingold, it must be immediately followed by a class at the very top of the RAB steps, and that class must be taught by a professor who will give you the stink eye if you walk in late. We became Brandeis. Newton's third law would tell us that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. that when a force is exerted on an object, that object exerts an equal force in the reverse direction. Over the past 4 years, Brandeis has exerted forces on us as we have progressed towards this day. And I submit to you that this has not been a one-way force. Just as Brandeis has acted upon you and changed you, so have you acted upon and changed Brandeis. You are not the same person that you were 4 years ago. And as a result, this university is not the same place that it was 4 years ago. Think about what you have done for Brandeis. Indulge me for just a moment. I guarantee that you have left your mark in some way or another. It may not be difficult for you to think of the ways in which you've changed this place. Maybe you founded a new club or you revitalized an old one. Maybe you served in the student union or on a supervisory committee and you contributed to policy changes and new initiatives here. Maybe you were a leader on one of our sports teams and you changed the course of your team's season. Yet, not all of the impacts that you've had on this place are as easily noticeable. You have likely had an impact that you didn't know you had at the time, and you may not even know now. Maybe you were a TA, a CA, or a bugs tutor, and you were there to provide support for a struggling classmate at a time of need. Maybe you made a comment in a class that led to a creative spark in the mind of one of your colleagues. Maybe you turned someone on to a major or minor that they had never considered before, and in doing so, you radically altered that person's life path and their impact on this place. It's called the butterfly effect, where a small event in the present has dramatic ramifications for the future. Brandeis would not be the same without you. It's a matter of physics. And so, as we prepare to leave this place and move on to the next stages of our lives, whatever they may be, I encourage you to keep Newton's third law in mind. Because if you're like me, there are those times when the existential questions kind of slide in from the back of your subconscious, and you begin to wonder what the purpose of your life is, and whether or not you'll make a difference. And if you're really like me, those questions tend to come to the forefront when you're trying to study for Dr. Pentrella's upcoming organic chemistry exam, and you're trying to think of any way to procrastinate. But standing before you this afternoon, I won't pretend to know how you will leave your mark. I can't say where you will find your niche. I don't know how you will change the world. But I can say with certainty and without hyperbole that simply by entering the world, you will change it in some way, just as you have changed Brandeis. And I don't mean that in some esoteric or metaphysical way. I mean it realistically. You will leave your mark. You will always leave a mark on your surroundings. And since you are Brandeis, chances are good that that mark will be sizable. William James once said, "Act as if what you do makes a difference." It does. I am sad that we will be going our separate ways after today, leaving this place that we have all called home. But I am incredibly excited to see where you all go and the differences that you all make. It has been such a privilege to be your classmate. And while I hope that your Facebook privacy settings are secure enough to keep those photos away from your future employers, I hope that you leave them just lax enough so that I can check in every once in a while to see where you all end up. Leave your mark. Congratulations, class of 2012.